You've been waiting, I've been waiting, and this thing showed up looking like treasure in this wrapping. This better be a BoboVR S3 Pro. Always have that small, sharp unboxing knife. If you've been around the channel a while, you know how we do it. We like to keep things safe. Oh, I see BoboVR. I was really worried with how long we've been waiting that in opening this was not gonna be it. Boom, look at the glory. For those of you who missed the announcement, this is the new BoboVR S3 Pro. This is a head strap designed specifically for the Quest 3. Unlike their M3 Pro that was brought forward from the Quest 2, this is designed from the ground up. That means bigger battery, faster charging. For the first time ever, the head strap has an integrated fan in it. And hopefully, we're gonna verify all their claims about what this thing can do, but hopefully this is gonna be the end-all be-all strap for the Quest. Looking quality thus far. Not astonishingly heavy, I'll give it that. Ooh. They put in work to make the back way thinner here. There's still the battery dock, but why this is thinner so that you can lay it back against something or you can sit, play a racing sim, flight sim, and be a bit more comfortable. The knob is now coated in rubber and it just feels really quality. It feels really solid. It doesn't have much, if any, play. And even if you do try to make it play, it doesn't make noise. It's got the original style pleather pads still, but it does come with optional honeycomb padding. Apparently only for the bottom half. Did I get shorted some honeycomb? I feel like there's usually 2 to replace both. Yes, so the honeycomb pad is just to replace 1. So if you want the extra grip on the bottom, you can do that. Or if you're someone who wants to flip them over and have the extra grip up top, I'll experiment with that a bit. That's unusual. This here is the new B100 battery pack. Now, if you already got the M3 and you're happy with it, but you want more battery power, there is a conversion kit coming that will let you switch out the dock on this and get the new battery pack without having to buy a whole new head strap. Returning customers do get 20% off if they do want to get the new head strap. So that's pretty neat they did that. This is it right here, new BoboVR battery. And we've gone with a new 2-tone look here. Still a similar looking charge dock on the bottom, but they've already said it won't work on the old one. I'm just curious. Yeah, I was wondering if it would even kind of attach. You could, in theory. I mean, that's pretty sketchy. You could try to leave this here and plug it in, but no, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to switch out the whole dock so you can get the faster charging. There's 2 5,000 milliamp hour cells, making this a 10,000 milliamp hour battery pack. Little tiny cable to charge out the top if you need to. I'm gonna swap out my BoboVR Mini that's on here so we can kind of play with these side by side. One thing I love about Halo straps, no top strap that goes over. You don't have to try and fish something through there. It just works better. And so far, I'm just loving the whole thing. Feels more quality, just feels more solid, even than the previous BoboVR lineup. I'm liking the feel. Install should just slide in the same way the old one did. Oh, now it's got a click, so you can actually kind of lock this thing in position. It's not always freely moving. Definitely slides on tight. And now, interestingly, because it's also powering this front fan, the cable isn't just loose cable. It's running in here to run power through here, power to this screen so you can adjust your settings from there. And then you got the short cable that goes into the side here. So far, just looks-wise, I'm digging this. I'm very curious how that fan's gonna work with the pad in the way, how the air's gonna travel. Everything about this now just locks and feels solid. They've definitely improved the build quality on the entire thing. I like that. Does it have the satisfying sound we know and love? There it is. It's got the beep. You can see right now, 17% on the side here. Let's play with the fan. To turn the fan on first, you click the whole thing in like a PlayStation joystick. You push in, you hear a beep telling you the fan's on. The fan's currently running at 50%. Go all the way to 100. It's not loud, but it's definitely audible. Like, you definitely hear it. It'll be different when you're in game. You won't notice it as much. But if you just want a little air, let's see. Wow, you can really turn it low and it still keeps running. Even at 1%, it's running, but it is silent. And I mean, I don't know if you even feel that air unless you were kind of had some perspiration on your forehead to feel it with, but that's pretty neat. It beeps when it hits the bottom. It beeps when it hits the top. So it's relaying a lot of information to you through beeps, because when you're in the headset, you're not gonna see this. You're not gonna see the panel on the side here. Whew, first try on, you ready? Boy, everything clicks so much more solidly. I do like that. You got plenty of room to move the lenses in near into your face. But something I like, a feature that the M3 had that the Quest 3 you could do, people pointed out, was if you're one of the people who liked the Quest Pro design, you could take the facial interface off and you could rock this thing with this thing just hovering in front of your face. And now, because these click more solidly, it's even easier to really just rock this thing in front of your face without any facial interface. Like, I can have it floating right there, right in front of my eyes, and it feels solid. It doesn't feel like it's going anywhere, turning. Wow, I've been a fan of BoboVR for a minute, but I gotta say right now, I'm I'm getting more and more impressed and surprised because they stepped it up. One of the biggest complaints about the BoboVRs, these top knobbies, people don't love them. They don't love the way they feel in their head. Not everyone, but just some people, they feel like it pushes. So now they made them removable. I have to figure out how they're removable real quick. But before I do that most important test, do these still fit? Is Mr. Task gonna have to make a new set for me? You know what? It's not a perfect fit. I think he could redesign the files and make it better, but for now, I think it's gonna stay on there just fine. Nice. Nice. All right, let me find out how to take the ear things off. All right, you just straight up pull them out. So now they're actually also adjustable though. There's multiple clicks in there. So if you wanna be someone that rocks this a little bit lower, you can actually adjust it up or down based on how much you want it to hold up on your head here. But then if you continue to push, it comes all the way out. And you can actually see there's notches. So it looks like there's 3 different levels you can choose this to be at inside of here. But for those of you who weren't in love with those, now you can literally rock the thing without them at all on top, not mess up your hair at all, if that's what you're here for. That's so cool. I'm trying to figure out what, so far, obviously we're only in the first half, we haven't done the testing yet, but I'm trying to figure out what people might not like about this thing. If you're an elite strap lover, you don't love the halo style it puts on your forehead, that's really the only thing I'm thinking so far could be an issue for people. Because I mean, you can get this thing in as close to your face as you want. Unlike the M3 that was still adapted, it stopped sooner. This one you can push in. I mean, it's putting pressure on my face like an elite strap would right now, giving me a lot more stability with it. So if you're someone who wants the stability, this now sucks in all the way to where you get it. All right, let's feel this fan in action. Fan on. Something I'm trying to answer here. If I turn the fan down, does it have memory? So let's say I always like my fan at 20%. When I go to turn it back on, it remembered. So if I always keep my fan 100, it remembers. Okay, good for them. Fan's gonna definitely be more noticeable in games where I'm active and I'm sweating a little on my forehead. But so far with the stock interface with the silicone cover over it, something that's nice is I'm not only feeling the fan hit me in the forehead, but there's enough space that it's actually moving in down through my eyes. It's gonna help prevent fogging in the headset. I feel the airflow up on my forehead, although I do have hair here, which makes it a little less noticeable. And if I try to turn up, it's at 100, it just keeps beeping. It keeps telling me you're already at max. And the noise level is comparable to what we were used to with the fans on the Quest 2. It's there. You're not gonna not hear it if you have it at 100%. But once you're in game, there's music and action going on, probably won't be that noticeable. One thing I can say that might be kind of a nuisance to people, it comes with that little tiny charging cable. So if you really needed to, you could try and plug it in the wall. They're expecting you have your Quest 3 charging cable and that's what you're gonna use to be charging up this battery. Or you're gonna get the dock edition that's coming that has the dock that you can hot swap off batteries. But for now, there's no charging brick, there's no charging cable. That would definitely be kind of annoying to some people who don't keep those handy or don't have their Quest 1 right nearby, but you've been charging your Quest somehow, so I guess in theory you should have something. I personally like the added stability of these guys. Is there any way to tell them apart? Oh, it does say left and right. I'm gonna try and shove the left one to the right one, see what happens. It does go in. Oh, that's horrible. Oh boy. Don't put them in backwards. It like just shoves into the top of your head instead of cradling it. They are surprisingly removable. So I'm gonna put one at the lowest setting. I'm gonna try to put the other one at the highest setting. So I think that's the highest. It's not a huge difference. So if I were to put it all the way down, that's all the way down on both. Second click, third click. A little bit. You know, I will say, I don't think they're completely necessary. I'm kind of feeling the one at the third click, so I'm gonna try that for both. Adjustment is possible while you're in the headset. Whew. So far, I'm digging it. I found very little to have issue with. I am someone who typically uses the honeycomb, so I'm gonna try swapping out the honeycomb. And it says bottom, so I think it's only meant for the bottom half. I do have a bit of a worry there for the bottom half because now what you've done is you're creating an imbalance in padding versus the top and bottom. And typically the reason most people want the honeycomb or they're having an issue with this head pad is they feel like the whole thing is a little bit loose. It's gonna come off your head like this. So putting a bigger pad at the bottom would make a little more sense because that would reach under your head and cradle. Where it being at the top, it feels like it might almost make that worse. But it is very sticky, especially if you were someone who had a shaved head, like it's gonna hang on. But for people with longer hair that's not holding on as well, sometimes this pad is nice. It feels fine. Like I'm not noticing that one pad is way thicker. I wouldn't have minded if they sent you the whole pad, give you the option to swap the whole thing out because it does seem odd to be doing this. But hey, I think with all that, it's time to take this thing away for a while for testing. We gotta charge it up fully. We gotta drain it out on a Quest. We gotta drain it on a Quest that's full, a Quest that's empty. We gotta test mixed reality. We gotta see how much the fan affects it if you drain it with a battery on, fan not running, a lot. I'll be back in a couple days. After days and some extremely sleepless nights, it took a lot of time to test this thing and get back to you on it all. Real quick, I'll tell you, This is maybe my forever strap at this rate, but you know me, I usually start with the things I didn't love first, so let's talk about those. The battery charge time, at least for now until the dock launches, may be an issue for some people. When I first plugged it in, I used the 18-watt power brick that comes with the Quest 3, but I used a longer USB cable because I was trying to get to where I could charge it. Not much longer, it was like a maybe a 5-footer. For some reason, that made it take 6 hours from 16% battery that we had it at to get it to fully 100%. And you can tell it's at 100% because the lights on it turn off completely. It's completely charged. It's not all four sitting there. They just turn off. It's done. I switched over to a 45-watt charger the Quest Pro uses. That only took a little over 3 hours, and it's quoted at around 3 to 4 hours for a full charge on a dead battery. Checked it again, Quest charger with the original Quest cable, same thing, about 3.5 hours on that one. You want to make sure you're using the exact cable and brick setup that came with your Quest, but it is limited to 15 watts charging through the top. That was a choice Bobo made to make it smaller, thinner. It will have 30-watt charging through the bottom when the dock comes out, pushing that down to closer to the 2 or 3 hours, which means you will have unlimited battery life because we tested this thing out, mixed reality, max brightness, fan top speed, almost exactly 3 hours was how much it gave the Quest. The Quest was charged up. It held 99% the whole time till the battery died, and it made a sound to let me know the battery was dead. So no more waiting and wondering, is my battery on, is it dead? Surprisingly, the fan does not take much of the battery, and it seems to be a negligible difference. I tried running it with the fan fully on, fully off, and I found maybe a 10 to 15 minute difference, but also some of the games are VR, some of the games are mixed reality. So it doesn't seem to be enough of a difference that I would worry about turning off the fan to save the battery. Very small nitpick, I'm just surprised there's no like cable manager here. That would be a little bit of a thing to just kind of keep it out of the way a little bit. It's fine, it doesn't really stick out, but usually there's just something, and I was noticing that when I was messing with it. And last, the fan, if it's at 100% and you're like trying to watch a show or something, it's gonna be noisy, you're gonna notice it, unless you're using earbuds or something. You can rock it 50% or below, not really noticeable doing anything, but just the little things. You came here, you wanna know what you're getting into buying this, so we're getting the cons out of the way first. Beyond that though, this thing is so comfortable. It's everything I like about the M3, but it's more stable. The build quality feels way better. Everything about it clicks in place now instead of just like being loose. Sometimes it would kind of adjust itself on accident because, you know, it was loose. So sometimes things would slip up or down. Now it feels like everything stays right where you want it to be, which is really nice about it. The top's removable for the people who didn't like those. I like them, I'm keeping them on, but for people who don't like those two, you can totally just get rid of those. The padding in the front is still nice and squishy, but what's nice is this can move back so much further now that you can get kind of an elite style suction by pushing the facial interface all the way onto your face. So for active games, you can push it in and it stays a lot more stable, because that was a common complaint about the original M3. People couldn't get it all the way they wanted to on their face, and they said it bounced around a lot. I mean, this thing, it's falling my face. It's so much more stable. This is a custom facial interface, but I tried it with the stock one and I tried it with that one that I was using that was kind of crappy. I didn't recommend it, but it just gave me more field of view, so I liked it. With those, you do still get a bit more slippage because those do have the pleather pads, but overall, this feels like they took what they've learned from the Elite straps and the Halo straps and brought it into one nice design, and I really like that about it. I would definitely say the charge dock is gonna be a must-have and probably a second battery if you wanna have that long-lasting or unlimited battery life or just never have to worry about it, and right now that edition isn't available. So for now, if you want this one, this is what's out there. You can always buy the dock later, but ultimately there might be a combo that could save you some money. So if you're not in a big rush, you could probably hold off. And I found I did like the honeycomb in the back and the bottom. It was fine with the top, so that concern was no issue to me. They made the back thinner. We talked about this a little bit. They did this so that you can lay back for sim racers and stuff. A weird detail I found, I was sitting back watching Netflix and I found, yeah, it's okay. It's thinner, but if you have like a pad or a pillow or something that gets in the way, what I actually found I did was I turned the thing up like this to where my head was fully back here. This holds on just fine like this. Like for shows, I mean, I could probably even play games this way, but for shows, you don't have to worry. I'm leaning back against my own pillow, and this is just holding onto the top of my head, and this thing is so stable that this is actually a viable solution now, which is surprising. The stability is just there. The strap is also much more intelligent than any strap I've seen yet. It will charge up your Quest, it will figure out when your Quest is charged, and then it will disengage the battery and turn off and leave whatever percentage on the battery is still there, ready for next time when you go to play. If you pop it on and it senses the Quest is already charged, that battery is just gonna shut off itself. It's not gonna worry about it unless you're actively playing and that's draining the battery, then it stays on. They definitely put some kind of intelligent chips in this thing so it knows what's going on. The fan is a great addition. Depending on which facial facial interface you're using, because this one's custom made for my face and it's silicone style in here, this won't really let the air in unless I tip it out a little bit. But with the stock facial interface or the other pleather style ones, I found the air channel coming out of the bottom did actually blow in through the eyes and kept it from fogging up. It also blows on your forehead, and especially the moment you start to perspire in a game, you notice that that air is doing work, keeping you cool. Something that I was interested in, I wanted to see what the secret was back here, but you don't really see it unless you want to unscrew and see what's going on. But basically, there is channels at the top and the bottom that air, the fan's pulling in through the front, and it blows out those channels. So even if you switch to like a ventilated pad or something, it wouldn't really make a difference. It's not trying to push air through the pad, it is pushing air around the pad. That did cause one really unusual issue, and very few gamers are ever gonna notice this, but I've gotta bring it up. If you're playing a sim racing game, a flight game, you probably won't notice it because you're still looking around, stuff's happening. But if you're playing a game like Demeo and you're sitting really still and you're just looking down at the game board and back up, or maybe even watching a show, this can get just in the right spot where if you felt the top of your quest, all the heat comes out of here. What was happening, it was in Demeo, between my turns, I'd be sitting up looking at the board, and then it was my turn, I'd tip my head forward, and all this hot air that had been evacuating would just get sucked into that fan. And it would blow the hot air all down my face. That was one time the fan was a little uncomfortable. And again, almost no one's gonna notice that ever. But specifically for a game like Demeo where you're sitting pretty steady and you're looking up and down more, I did notice like a lot of that hot air was channeling into my head, and it almost made me want to turn the fan off. So a very weird thing, but if you're standing, you're doing VR, you're moving around, it's not gonna really happen, but something I thought you should know. They're promising when the dock does come out from 0 to 80% in about an hour on the battery. So that means you can hot swap batteries all you want, but it would still push the battery full in less than 3 hours. So that means that this thing lasts 3 hours and it keeps the Quest charged. You can cycle batteries forever once the dock's here. So I do think the dock is kind of necessary. Maybe 3 hours is enough for you, but for me, 3 hours in mixed reality, once the battery died, it meant not only that I don't have my fan anymore, it meant the headset on its own, mixed reality, we tested out about an hour and a half. So if you're in a real intense gaming session, that could run you into a problem with only the one battery, especially when it takes quite a while to charge it for now. And the last consideration out there, if you want this or not, do you already have a head strap? If you don't, this is the head strap to get. If you already had the M3, I still think it's a worthy upgrade, and they are offering you 20% off the new one if you have bought the old one from them before. That either works directly through their website or you can contact them after, show them proof of purchase. I think it's worth it, but if you love your M3 already, there is gonna be an option to swap out this battery dock, use the new batteries. But as we said before, the old batteries don't fit, they don't work, there's just no help there. Because the whole new design and everything, I mean, you try and stick this on, you could store a battery, an old battery there if you want to, but it's not gonna do you any good. I guess in a real bind, if this runs out, you throw this on the charger, you could stick this here and run a cord to the side. Not something I'd recommend doing, but it also then means now all of your BoboVR batteries may not have a purpose if you don't have another headset besides maybe charging your phone or something. Ultimately, I absolutely recommend this strap. I'm in love with it. It's what I'm gonna be using from now on, and I've looked at a lot of the other straps. I'm reviewing other ones for you right now. I'll still do that, but none of them that I've tested hold a candle to this thing. You can tell this was designed for the Quest 3 intelligently. The little cons I pointed out, they do exist. There's something to think about out there, but none of them are a deal breaker for me. That means there's gonna be a link in the comments, the description down below, so that you can get over. It's still only on Bobo, but once it comes out on Amazon, I'll put a link to that too. A lot of you like to buy from Amazon. But if you've gotten yours, I'd love to know in the comments how you're feeling. I know a lot of you pre-ordered after we got the news that this thing was coming. So let me know what you're thinking out there, any tips you're finding, especially as time goes on. You know, this fan is probably gonna start to collect some dust. There's gonna be things about maintenance and upkeep. So drop them in the comments so other people can see them too, help them out. But I wanna say thank you once again for being here. Thank you to Bobo for trying to get this to us as early as they could. Bobo keeps on doing it. I know they've got more coming. I don't really know what, but I know there's gonna be a few more announcements in the next coming months. Obviously the battery dock and other stuff too. So they're gonna keep trying to improve our experiences. And so far, I feel like they've done a pretty great job. Thank you once again, and I will see you in another reality.